want to go where you go.
Right now?
Lift me to the heavens, my love.
It's been over 60 years since the SS Minnow went down, and 7 strangers made America fall in love with a coconut radio, a bamboo hut, and a 3-hour tour that never ended. And the cast behind that show, a secret war hero nobody on screen ever knew about, a reunion that one cast member refused to attend for the rest of her life, and a cancellation so arbitrary that some of these actors had already bought homes near the set when the news came. 7 castaways, 7 stories. Let's see where they all are in 2026. Bob Denver as Gilligan. Bob Denver was born on January 9th, 1935 in New Rochelle, New York, and was 29 years old when he became Gilligan, the bumbling first mate of the SS Minnow, whose gift for destroying every escape plan kept 7 castaways stranded across 3 seasons. Gilligan was not stupid. Denver understood that and built the character around sincerity rather than dim-wittedness. The chaos was never intentional. That is why audiences never stopped rooting for him. He had already built one beloved character before this, playing beatnik Maynard G. Krebs on The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. Sherwood Schwartz's first choice for Gilligan was Jerry Van Dyke, who turned it down. Denver got the call. Van Dyke later called it one of the worst decisions of his career. What viewers never knew was that Denver privately threatened to quit unless the theme song was changed to include the Professor and Marianne by name rather than calling them and the rest. The lyrics were changed. He never publicized it. He later ran a small radio station in West Virginia with his wife Dreama. Bob Denver passed away on September 2, 2005 at 70 years old. He always said fans made him richer than residuals could. He meant it. Alan Hale Jr. as the skipper. Alan Hale Jr. was born on March 2, 1918 in Los Angeles, California, and was 45 years old when he became Jonas Grumby, the skipper, the large, warm-hearted captain who called Gilligan his little buddy and spent 3 seasons being driven to the edge of his patience by the person he loved most on that island. He came with a famous name already attached. His father was Alan Hale Sr., one of the most recognizable character actors of the silent film era, a man whose enormous frame and natural warmth had defined the lovable giant for a generation of moviegoers. The son carried every bit of it. The skipper and Gilligan's bond was the emotional center of the show, and it worked because Hale made the warmth as real as the exasperation. He never expressed regret about being defined by the character. After the show, he opened a Hollywood restaurant called the Skipper's Lobster Barrel and sometimes appeared in his captain's hat to greet guests because he understood what that character had meant to people. Alan Hale Jr. passed away on January 2, 1990 at 71 years old. The skipper always kept his little buddy close. In real life, he did exactly the same. Jim Backus as Thurston Howell III. Jim Backus was born on February 25, 1913 in Cleveland, Ohio, and was 50 years old when he became Thurston Howell III, the oblivious millionaire who packed an astonishing amount of luggage for a 3-hour boat ride and never once seemed troubled by where he ended up. Howell's comedy lived entirely in the sincerity of his delusion. He genuinely could not conceive of a problem his wealth could not resolve. Backus played that certainty with total commitment and made the character feel less like satire and more like portraiture. What most viewers never connected was that this was the same man who had voiced Mr. Magoo since 1949, making Backus one of the most recognizable voices in American entertainment before he ever appeared on screen in a white dinner jacket. He was also James Dean's father in Rebel Without a Cause. He brought that credibility to a show critics dismissed and made its most absurd character entirely believable. He was later diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and continued working for as long as he could. Jim Backus passed away on July 3, 1989 at 76 years old. Thurston Howell III never doubted for a moment that rescue was coming. The man behind him never doubted either. Natalie Schaefer as Lovey Howell. Natalie Schaefer was born on November 5, 1900 in Red Bank, New Jersey, and was in her early 60s when she became Lovey Howell, the millionaire's wife who dressed for dinner every night on an uncharted island and found nothing unusual about that at all. She had been a Broadway actress and Hollywood film fixture for decades before Gilligan's Island existed, and she guarded her age so fiercely throughout her life that she asked to be buried with her birth certificate to prevent the number from ever being confirmed. She took the pilot under one specific assumption, that no network would ever pick it up. It was too silly, too slight, too inconsequential. She was happy to take the money and move on. She was wrong. To her considerable credit, she committed fully to Lovey once she understood she was staying. She also purchased her own wardrobe for the role rather than wearing what the costume department offered, because she had opinions about how Lovey Howell should look, and she acted on them without hesitation. Natalie Schafer passed away on April 10, 1991 at 90 years old. She spent decades refusing to confirm that number. She would have been furious to see it written here. Russell Johnson, as the Professor Russell Johnson, was born on November 10, 1924 in Ashley, Pennsylvania, and was 39 years old when he became Professor Roy Hinckley, the resourceful castaway who could build a radio from coconut shells and synthesize medicine from island plants, but could never, despite everything, fix the hole in the boat. What no viewer knew was that the man inventing survival solutions on a fictional island had once been shot down over a real one. On March 4, 1945, on his 44th mission as a B-25 bombardier over the Philippines, Johnson's aircraft was hit by enemy fire and ditched into the sea. He broke both ankles in the crash. His co-pilot was killed. Japanese boats closed toward his position before American planes drove them back. He was pulled from the water after 1 hour and awarded the Purple Heart. He used his GI Bill to pay for acting lessons. In 1994, his son David died of AIDS at 39. Johnson devoted those decades to AIDS advocacy. Russell Johnson passed away on January 16, 2014, at 89 years old. He flew 44th combat missions over the Pacific and spent the rest of his life pretending to be a wise man on television. Both things were entirely true. Dawn Wells as Mary Ann. Dawn Wells was born on October 18, 1938 in Reno, Nevada, and was 25 years old when she beat out 350 other actresses for the role of Mary Ann Summers, the Kansas farm girl who baked coconut cream pies, radiated uncomplicated goodness, and was chosen over Ginger in fan polls for decades as the castaway viewers felt most connected to. Not because Mary Ann was more glamorous or exciting, because she felt real. Wells made that possible by never playing the character from a safe distance. She simply showed up and meant it every episode, every season. After the show, she remained the most active ambassador in the cast, attending conventions and reunions for decades with a consistency that never felt like obligation. In 2018, she fell and found herself unable to afford the cost of her rehabilitation. A friend launched a GoFundMe campaign. Her fans donated nearly $200,000 in a single month. The woman who had played America's sweetheart was held, at the end, by exactly the warmth she had spent her career giving away. Dawn Wells passed away on December 30, 2020 at 82 years old of complications from COVID-19. She was the last cast member to go. She left exactly as Mary Ann would have, with everyone around her caring. Tina Louise as Ginger Grant. Tina Louise was born on February 1, 1934 in New York City and was 30 years old when she became Ginger Grant, the movie star, the most glamorous of the 7 castaways. The woman who arrived on a 3-hour boat tour carrying an evening gown and a fur stole and made both feel entirely plausible. She came to the role with more star credentials than anyone else in the cast. Broadway, recording, film, a Golden Globe nomination. She took the role expecting dramatic material. She got broad comedy. The gap between those two things never fully closed. When the series ended in 1967 and the surviving cast returned for 3 reunion movies, Tina Louise was absent from all of them. Her role was recast each time. She kept away from the show's legacy and became its most guarded figure. When Dawn Wells died in December 2020, Louise called her a wonderful person and the cast a family. It was one of the more direct things she had offered about the show in years. Today, in 2026, Tina Louise is 92 years old. She is the last surviving member of the original cast. 6 castmates are gone. She is the only one still on the island. That's the Gilligan'S Island cast, then and now. A show that never got a proper finale, canceled because one person's vacation ended at the wrong moment, with 7 castaways left stranded on that island for 11 years until a reunion movie finally rescued them, and 1 cast member who refused to board the ship. Drop a comment, which story surprised you most? And if this brought back the sound of that minnow whistle, you know what to do.